Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and this time we are speaking on our expectations regarding the Nintendo Switch 2 first look trailer. When might it happen? What might it entail? Well, that's what we're getting into today. But before going forward, let me ask that if you do enjoy my content, to please subscribe and hit that notification bell. So this morning, we got Nintendo's live stream of both the Indie World and Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase together as one single broadcast. And yesterday, we already put out a video how we think that the Switch 2 reveal is coming very soon, and nothing about this recent Nintendo Direct live stream has changed my opinion on it. But naturally, not everyone's going to agree. We don't know what's going to happen until it happens, so of course, take things with a grain of salt, consider all the evidence and come up with your own opinion, and we shall see what actually happens. But some people have been left scratching their heads as to what's going on because there's a lack of Nintendo announcements for early next year. This partner showcase, all it had in terms of published Nintendo announcements, from what I can tell, is Fitness Boxing 3. That's the Nintendo game for December. There's nothing major coming, there's nothing else that's been announced for the early parts of 2025 beyond what they already told us back in June. Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, launching in January. And so for those asking those questions, I say, well, the Nintendo announcements we're supposed to be getting about games coming out in the beginning of 2025, they're coming in the form of the Switch 2 first look trailer. But some people think that there could still be a September Nintendo Direct where they announce first party games. And I just think that that is extremely unlikely. And let me explain why. The partner showcase is the direct for this time of the year. When we get a partner showcase, the reason why they put out a partner showcase is because Nintendo doesn't really have much to say regarding their own first-party games for the foreseeable future, but they still have commitments to make regarding a lot of their third-party partnerships. And if you just look throughout the Direct archive and see how the dates relate, you can see what I'm referring to here. So take a look. Earlier this year, we had a Nintendo Direct Partner Showcase. They only had one first-party game announced there, or a Nintendo published game, I should say, in Endless Ocean, and then we had to wait 4 months for the next big Direct. But let's go further back in history. The last time we had a Partner Showcase beforehand was here, June 20th, 2022. There was no big E3 Direct. It was this. This was their answer for the June time. A Partner Showcase along with the Xenoblade 3 Direct a week beforehand. The next time we had a Direct was in August with the Splatoon 3 Direct, which was just a month before the Nintendo Direct of September that year. But we go back even further, last time we had partner showcases was during the pandemic year. There were 3 of them, and there was no other normal Direct. The partner showcases were the big Direct for that period of time. There was nothing that followed them afterwards. That's what they were. Now, there was the Mario Anniversary Direct, which announced Mario things, and then they had the Partner Mini in September 20, and then they had a Partner Mini in October 20th. Now, maybe you can make the argument there's still room for another Partner Mini or something like that in September or October. That is conceivable, but again, let's remind ourselves, the reason we had so many of this type of event back then was because it was the pandemic year. And these events announced things like Age of Calamity and Monster Hunter, so these events had big Nintendo announcements, because there were still announcements to be made. We already have the holiday lineup for this year. It's been set. And these are also minis. We just got a partner showcase, no mini, full-size Direct, and it was in combination with an Indie World. Yes, it's within reason that Nintendo could have some sort of social media announcement for a game in February or March, but what's looking to be the most realistic scenario right now is the next time we get a series of Nintendo published announcements will be a part of the Switch 2 first look trailer. That's what most of us are thinking right now. So then, when is that going to happen, and what kind of announcements could we be looking at here? So apparently we were supposed to be getting previews for Mario Party and The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom in the first week of September, so I don't think they're going to have a presentation then. And then also, in the final week of September, Echoes of Wisdom is actually launching, so I don't think it's happening then either. But also the thinking behind an earlier Switch 2 reveal sometime in September is for it to happen before Tokyo Game Show, so more reason for it to happen a bit sooner, which leaves us with essentially a 2-week period. Either it happens in the week of the 8th through the 14th, or it happens in the week of the 15th through the 21st, if it's happening in September. Of course, we could have to wait until October. But because Nintendo typically has a September Direct, and it seems like they moved up all of their September presentations to August, it seems to be suggesting that they've opened up a September slot for a reason. Now, Nintendo doesn't normally have announcements on weekends or Mondays or Fridays. They tend to happen on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays in terms of actual presentations. So essentially we have 6 different dates to consider here: the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 17th, the 18th, or the 19th. I will note that going back to October of 2016, the day Nintendo showed off the Switch 1 trailer, it was October 20th. That's when it happened, on a Thursday. So if we're to see something similar, then maybe it happens in October. But considering the thing we're arguing here for September, maybe it happens on September 19th perhaps. A very similar date. Basically, I'm just saying that the middle of September makes the most sense, but we have some history of it happening on Thursday. But in terms of the content of what this presentation may have, what form will it be coming in? Could this first look trailer be coming in the form of another Direct? A Switch 2 Direct? That would be pretty special. We haven't gotten something like that before. I'd be game for it. It would be fun. It would imply they would be getting more than just a trailer. They would likely have someone come out on stage, have a bit of a speech, talk about a few things, and I would certainly be up for that. That would be fun. But I don't think we necessarily need that much. I think all we really need is another trailer like that first look trailer for Switch 1 that's 3 to 4 minutes long. Maybe they want to tell us just a little bit more, open the door for third parties to start making their own announcements, sure. But for now, I'm just going to operate under the assumption we're going to get a trailer, and that will be it in terms of talking about Switch 2 until next year. Nintendo will go radio silent on the console once this happens. But within these 3 to 4 minutes, I'm kind of thinking we'll definitely see our first look at the next 3D Mario, and our first look at the next Mario Kart. I also think we'll probably get a few seconds of an updated version of Metroid Prime 4, and probably a few key third-party games they want to be a really big deal on the console. One that I feel somewhat confident in is Monster Hunter Wilds. I think that's going to play a vital role to the launch window of Switch 2. So those are 4 games I think we'll get a glimpse of on the console. But I do think there's gotta be at least one more third-party announcement, potentially more. They may really want to sell us on this idea of that this console is going to be able to play AAA, high-quality third-party games, and well. So there may be a few more games beyond Monster Hunter Wilds in this first look trailer. And I know there are going to be some people in the comments saying there's no way the Switch 2 is going to be able to run games like this. First off, we don't really know just how great this system is going to be yet. So if you want to take the pessimistic perspective and assume it's not going to be able to run these things, then sure, we'll see what happens. But we've already spoken on multiple times how there's a variety of people who are under the impression the Switch 2 is going to be able to run a lot of AAA third-party games. Of course, only time will truly tell. Now, something they could include that I think would make a lot of sense would be perhaps something else from Microsoft or Bethesda. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, because Microsoft owns Activision, I'll throw in that maybe they'll show some form of Call of Duty coming to the console, a modern Call of Duty. I think that would provide a good message, because if you have something like Call of Duty, something that wasn't available throughout the entire Switch era, that suggests that this console will have games even on that level. Now, going back to first-party offerings, seeing our first look at the next 3D Mario, the next Mario Kart would be great. Seeing our first Switch 2 footage of Metroid Prime 4 would also be great. But could there be something else? Well, conceivably, we might also get our first glimpse at the next Pokemon game. Interestingly, we thought we would get more footage on Legend ZA at some point this year, or our first footage on Legend ZA at some point this year, and it hasn't happened yet. They did not have a Pokemon Presents for August. They're just not doing it. Now, it might just be because, and actually this is probably the most likely scenario, that because they're not releasing it this year, they're not having a Pokemon Presents, there's not really enough material for that kind of thing, and we won't be seeing this game until early next year, February, for their typical early year Pokemon Presents. But I do think there is the possibility that Legend ZA will have some sort of enhanced version on Switch 2, and they may want to showcase that for the first look trailer. Now, you might argue, well, sure, it might be nice to see an enhanced version, but if we haven't seen the original version, then it doesn't really make that much sense. You know, you might be right. But I still mention it because Pokemon is a big deal game that's coming out next year, and this could just be something that they want to advertise alongside the console, and that'll be the actual reasoning behind having it here. But maybe you don't really need Pokemon. You already have 3D Mario, you already have Mario Kart, Metroid Prime 4, maybe that's enough. But perhaps Nintendo would like to showcase something that shows incredible scope that isn't just cartoony or sci-fi, which could be an opportunity for Nintendo to show off another game. A game from Monolith Soft, one of their best developers. They're behind the Xenoblade series, and there's a lot of speculation right now that their next game is going to be a big new IP that may be set in a fantasy medieval world. So while they may not have something big Zelda to show off at this point in time, something like this could appeal to that audience, and it could look very impressive. It could be a vast, wide, beautiful fantasy medieval style world, and that would certainly fit a certain style of game that, up to this point, with what we discussed so far, wouldn't be in the first look trailer. Now, I will briefly entertain the possibility of something Zelda in the presentation. There was the codename leak for some sort of Breath of the Wild version Yu-King O. There has been some speculation that maybe Breath of the Wild is going to have a 4K 60 FPS version made available for Switch 2. There was the Gamescom tech demo from last year where apparently Breath of the Wild was running at 4K 60 with next to no load times. Perhaps they could show off something like that as an example of Switch 2 enhancing Switch 1 games. I think it's a possibility. But in terms of something that's like a new look at some sort of new Zelda game, or like perhaps an Ocarina of Time remake that we've theorized will eventually happen, I don't think we're really there yet. I think the Ocarina of Time remake would be coming out maybe closer to the 40th anniversary in 2026, so they just probably wouldn't show it off here. But an enhanced version of Breath of the Wild, so you can include something Zelda, that does feel fairly conceivable to me. But if I'm going to predict what I'm confident in seeing in this first look trailer, is Mario, Mario Kart, and Metroid Prime 4, but it feels like there's gotta be at least one more thing from Nintendo. But what do you think? What are your expectations of the Switch 2 first look trailer? Is it going to happen in September? Do we have to wait longer? Is it going to come in the form of a bigger presentation like a direct, or just a trailer on its own like they did with Switch 1 back in October of 2016? Let me know what you all think in the comments below. This is AndresRestart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.